What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Police Off the Cuff After Hours. My name is Mark Demayo. I'm going to be your host tonight. My co-host, my partner in all things law enforcement, Bill Cannon. He is taking a much-needed mini vacay, so I want to give him a shout-out. I hope he's having a great time. Our guest tonight is he's been on the show before. He's a legendary comedian, and he's also an active member of the service. He works upstate New York. I had the pleasure of traveling with him to Nashville, where we took part and told jokes at the TAC Ops conference there. Let's welcome John Mulrooney. What's up, John?
Hey, phony applause, golf applause. Yay. How's the audio?
You sound good. You sound good. I hope I sound good too.
You sound great. Your hair looks amazing.
Yeah, you do a pretty good me. Like
I've been told. Richard Jenny used to tell me all the time. He said, "Mulrooney, you do the best impressions of comedians that'll never be famous."
Well, thank you so much. Just so when I say legendary comedian, what I'm trying to express to the audience is we're gonna take our first crack at showing some video here. So just be patient with me. Hopefully everything will go out nice. Watch this. Watch what I'm doing here.
Watch. I'm watching you, Faca.
All right, let's
toggling between the glasses. Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah, this is gonna be great.
Wow.
That's a pretty funny joke. The only thing is, your brother did it here last night. My brother did it here last night. Last night. My act. That's right. How did he do? I'll tell you. It was a tough crowd.
What is this, like 1989?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, 89.
Yeah, that's
88,
incredible,
89.
man.
Yeah. So I'll tell you something interesting about that tie. I make a joke about it right out of the box here.
Hold on one second. Let me just get out of this right now.
So that tie, there was a totally.
Hold on, I'm trying to get back to the.
That tie was a totally 80s tie, and I wore it, made a joke about it, and every week we would get comments. Are you there? Did you freeze on
me? We lost the host.
There you go. There you go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Now all of a sudden I hear an echo. Hopefully it left. So what were you going to say about that clip?
That tie was a tie. As you saw, it was a totally 80s loud tie. And I remember I made a joke about it right out of the box, like something about I made it in arts and crafts. And we used to get comments from the Fox brass, the fledgling Fox network back in the day. We used to get comments every week about the show, and whether or not they liked the bits, ratings, all this other stuff. And I remember I couldn't wait to get back to my office where I had a mailbox, and I saw, we got a letter. I wonder if they liked the show. I reached up and I grabbed the letter. I pulled it out, and all it said was, "Don't wear that tie again."
Oh, that was from the brass?
That was from the brass. That was their big contribution to the show. Don't wear that tie again.
Oh my God, that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
what you get out of them, right? So, okay, just so we go, 1989. I'm 4 years removed from high school. I'm a college student. No, actually, I was a college dropout at that point. But the point is,
the police department has a place for you.
Yeah, I think I might have taken the test that year, actually. But wow, man, that's a long time doing comedy.
I started in '78, and it started out as a dare. I used to do impressions and mimicry and all that other stuff, and it turned into bits. They would say to me, I had really close friends, and they'd say, do Joe when he's dancing, do Brian when he's trying to pick up girls, do Steve when he's drunk. And after a while, it turned into these little vignettes, and I would get cornered at parties, and people would ask me to do it. And after a while, I had like 30 minutes of just personal stuff, and I had about another 20 of like celebrities. And one day we were watching something on television. We were in Sheepshead Bay, my buddy Joe. We were right off of Voorhees Avenue at 18th Street. It's where his parents had a house, and he said we were watching. It was midday television, and there was some comic on bombing, and he goes, "You're funnier than this guy." I said, "Yeah, I could do that." And he said, "Yeah, if you had the balls." And I said, "What are you talking about? If you had balls, where would you even go?" He goes, "Right here, Sheepshead Bay, Pips." I didn't even know. I grew up there my whole life. So a week later, I jumped on stage, and I never looked back.
Yeah. Wow. That was it. That was the a legendary time. Give me 1 second. I just have a feeling. Let me get the. How do I sound? Do I sound better now? I don't know.
No, you sounded better before.
Can I hear you?
I
Say
hope
something.
So. 10-4.
No, I lost you.
All right.
I lost you. What the hell am I doing?
Sitting here in a beautiful.
Sorry, everybody.
Summer evening on Monday night, August 3rd. It's the sun is going down. This is what we call
golden
sound
now?
time.
Do I sound better now?
Much better. Yep.
Oh.
And your hair still looks good.
There you go. I'm sorry. This thing is. Where's Bill? Where is Bill? There you go. Christine Rose. Where is Bill? Bill is on vacation. He's usually the DJ, the engineer on the ones and twos.
The bus driver.
The interesting part is that part of that time where you came up in comedy, that was the legendary time, like the 80s there, that the boom, that was the comedy boom.
Yeah. One of the first weekends I ever went to just go watch the show at Pips once I became a regular. Seinfeld was the closer. When I auditioned at the comic strip, Paul Reiser was the MC. Rodney used to babysit the two guys that own Pips, Marty and Seth Schultz. So the place was just it was a comedy, it was the Bible of comedy, stand up in the States.
And your brother was on the job, wasn't he?
He was on the job. He was on the job for 23 years, I think. Yeah.
Was this when you were starting comedy?
I was doing stand up about 10, 11 years when he got the call. He was the oldest guy in his academy class. He had a business that he was a great worker, but a terrible businessman. So it didn't work out for him, and he needed a job. And he basically, took the test and kind of fell into it. It turned into an actually great career for him, but it wasn't his plan A. I can tell you that.
But wait, did you envy him that he had become a cop?
I envied the experiences. I really wanted to do it because I was gonna be a cop before I became, or as I was becoming a comic. Once I got on stage and I knew I wanted to be a comic, I was working doing aluminum siding. And my father, that paid the bills, but my father saw that, that's really kind of a nowhere job. So he kept, pushing me to go like to the police department, the post office, all this other stuff. But the only thing that really resonated with me was police work. So I took the test. I got called for the academy. And the day I got called to go into I actually went through the whole process.
Which academy? The NYPD?
Yep. I got called for the NYPD. I went through the psych. I went through the physical. I went through the medical. I did all the background. I was on the last stage of the interview. And they said, if you show up for this day and you don't have this one card that we're going to mail to your house, you're not getting in. And somewhere between where I parked my car and the front door of the academy, I lost that friggin' ticket. And I had been stressing over what I was going to do with my life. Like, am I going to be a cop? Am I going to be a comic? And when I got to the front door and I'm standing in line with all these guys and I couldn't find that friggin' ticket, I know I had it with me. I said, that's my sign. And I turned around and I never looked back.
Wow, that is great.
Yeah. It was a green card. I'll never forget. It was a green, like an index card that was mailed to your house, and it had your name on it, mailed from the police station or from 1PP with whatever it was back then.
What's funny is that you could have really, in hindsight, you could have just walked up to the guy at the door and said, "Hey, listen, I lost my card. I need another one." And he would have probably been pissed, but he would have said, "You go get another card. That's it."
I probably, but I wasn't going to push it because it really felt like.
I'm telling you, everything was a big fear factor. Like when I was in the academy, they tell you if you drop out of the run more than 3 times, you're not going to graduate. And sure enough, people dropped out every day from the run. Same people were standing right next to me during graduation. They invest so much money at you at a certain point. So you're going through this whole comedy career. Do you still have the Joneses of being a cop? I mean, because where do you work? You're actually on the job now. You
Yeah.
actually work upstate New York.
I
Where
work in upstate New York in a really big town in Ulster County. I'll just say it's Ulster County. It's the lower part of Ulster County, but it's a huge district. It's 60 square miles. So with no traffic, lights and sirens, it takes a half an hour to get to the other side of town if something goes down.
and that town? What's that town called? Gestapo?
Yeah, I guess that.
Do you see the picture I got up on the screen there?
Let me see.
Look
I
at
can't see it.
Look at that. What's with that hat, man? Holy.
Oh, you like that? Oh, you know what's
Holy
funny? You know what's funny? That hat, it was a goof. That was a sergeant's hat that I found in the locker room.
Uh-huh.
And I was just posing because if you noticed, the braid on the hat is gold and all of my stuff is silver. So it's a sergeant's hat. So I was just goofing around and I was trying to give my best game face.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
nonetheless, that is quite. That is. One more look at that. That is quite the hat there. I mean, damn,
It's sweet, right?
that's old school right there.
Right. Yeah, it's
That's
old
like
school, baby.
1944.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We never even wore those. That was a leftover. Must have been from the guy.
Holy cow!
Yeah, isn't that great? Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's. I actually wanted to take it with me, but cops wouldn't steal anything.
And when you work upstate there, I guess you guys handle different types of problems, so you need different type of equipment there. Look at this picture that I'm putting up there. Switch your glasses again so you can take a gander at this picture.
Oh, I know what you're putting up. You're putting up the rifle, right?
Yeah. What the hell kind of what kind of magazine? What kind of rounds is in that rifle? Look at the size of that magazine.
Yeah,
what is that?
308. It's an M14. M14
For bears?
A1.
What are you hunting bears?
Dude, we got him. We got him.
Oh, that's some rifle, man.
Yeah, I love it.
What kind of round is that?
308.
That's take your leg right off.
That's the rifle that they used prior to this. During our entree into the Vietnam War, and the M16 replaced that one because they needed a lighter, less expensive battle rifle. Because that rifle there was probably about $1,000 to make. That's a really good rifle. I mean, that's what they go for now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
So you work part-time up there, right?
Yeah, we work part-time. We're a full-time department that uses part-time guys. Like they have a core of full-timers, and then they hire guys like me who either just wanted to always do it or retired guys from other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And it works out well because it's just it's a nice little side hustle. Originally, it was a side hustle. COVID killed comedy. COVID killed a lot of things. I shouldn't say COVID. The whole woke cancel culture thing killed, cruise comedy, in my opinion. At least nightclub comedy is still has its integrity.
You're talking about because you were doing a lot of cruise ships.
I was working. My main form of income was working on those ships, even though it was getting old fast. It was something I was familiar with, and it was it was good money, and it was. Yeah, it's not the most stable gig in the world, but comedy never was. And I was doing the police work just as a side thing. And then when COVID wiped everything out, boom, the police work just kind of like took front and center. So it was just a great luck of the draw for me. Something I like to do. I found two things I like doing in life, and I got to do them. I got paid for them.
That's
Pretty
amazing. I kind of sort of feel the same exact way you do, except I did it the other way. I did my 20 years as a cop first, but actually while I was a cop, I was doing comedy for 15 out of my 20 years. I was doing comedy, but I came on the job first. So
what year did you start the PD?
I started in 1992.
Okay, that was about the same time. Yeah, you and my brother started right around the same time.
I'm wondering if I knew him, man. That's interesting. Let me give a shout out to some of the people that are in the chat. What's up, MC Audio? MC Audio's jumped on board. He's part of the team now. So welcome aboard, MC Audio. Mike Alone, man. Ange. Hi. U.S. soccer, stay woke, get smoked. Yeah, that's a whole story we can go into right there. Rachel Pranzo and her husband just celebrated an anniversary. Happy anniversary for them. I think it's what is it? I think 300 years they've been together now. So it's obviously going well. I got to make jokes, folks. So that's me. I wish I could get back to the top here. I don't know how to do that. I'll keep shouting out to people. Factual breakdown. Mark looks like he's in his 30s. Thank you, a factual breakdown. I'm actually 54 years old. God bless Botox, man. No, I actually haven't even started messing with that, but I'm looking into it. Hi, Maria Green. Okay, so the two of us, because you're an incredible comedian and you're also on the job now, and I am a pretty good comedian, I'd like to think,
and have been on the job.
and have been on the job. We have the good fortune of hanging together, traveling together, and performing together for a lot of these police functions. I asked Larry Beresnoy to come on the show tonight, so hopefully he'll be joining us later on. He is actually the executive director of NITO. It's the New York
NITOA.
Tactical Officers Association. And we just came back from Nashville, and they had a TAC Ops conference there. And basically TAC Ops, I'll give you they specialize in a lot of different so for example, these are you can go to any one of these meetings. One of them is for EMS Tactical Conference. Then there's a SWAT Tactical Conference. That's the one that we just did. And the Patrol Tactics Conference. And they take place all over the country. And they put on a nice couple of days where you go to conferences, and then they have a trade show there. And this trade show was a lot of fun for us. But I think there's a lot of people who don't like the trade shows because they claim that we're the police departments are getting militarized. And the truth is, there is a lot of stuff there, a lot of guns. There's a lot of
there's a lot of cool guns.
Yeah, cool guns.
Yeah.
Silencers.
Can you see me? Because you stopped. Your video stopped. Can you see me? Okay.
No, I can see you fine.
Oh, okay.
Did it stop? I hope not.
Mine stopped. Mine's frozen. That's all right. As long as you can see me.
Well, that means you might be going out in a second. If you do go out, then just jump back on again. I'll wait for you.
Okay.
But so we go to these conferences, and they have this trade show there, and it's full of stuff that, listen, if you're into this, if you're into law enforcement, or you're into the military, if you're into guns, or any type of weapons thing, like, for example, there's helmets, there's bulletproof vests, there's silencers, there's drones, there's little robots. It's just an incredible walkthrough, and we recorded it, you and I, and we posted it. It's part of our channel. So if you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, and you have a clip of those gloves. Those gloves were the best. Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at right now. I got to okay, watch this. So while John and I were walking through, as we get to the end of our at the end of the exhibit there, I see this guy, and he's got like some really cool stuff, some Captain America stuff. So let's go check this out. See what I got myself into. Where are we at? There we go. Wow, we definitely buffed out this early afternoon. And this is the Captain America section. Awesome, man. Look, just in case you wanted a shield. I wasn't even kidding, man. This is some Iron Man shit right here. Really? So wait a minute. Well, you gotta have the pad with you? Oh, if you want to do the practice. If you want to do like... So basically, I put that glove on and I touch somebody. It's like the hand of God touching them, right? Uh-huh. That's pretty cool. Did you see that? Use it. Go ahead. Can you do it? No. You want to take it? No.
No.
All right.
All right, explain this to me again. What is it? He's going to touch me like the hand of God. He's going to take a dive. All right. It's a conductor electrical weapon.
Right.
You have to have skin contact to make it work.
Okay.
So make contact with your pants. It's got to be at least 2. By the time it's 1, I get nothing. If I make light contact on myself, I can tell it's working. So I'm like, okay, it's light contact, so it's working. Now I can try it on somebody else, right? It doesn't go through clothes, it doesn't go through hair, right? So I want you to face me.
So it doesn't go. So the guy's gonna have a short sleeve shirt on.
There are other ways to face me.
There are other ways around this.
So I'm going to grab you by the arms so that you can see that I'm not going to feel it. Just say the other
That's a pretty evil laugh. Oh my God!
Uh,
Yeah.
do it again, he says.
If I heard that laugh and I didn't know it was me, I'd say that's a demon.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta get back to that.
That's friggin' demonic. Oh my
Let's
God!
get back to it. Let's get back here. Oh, so first of all, most of the comments I got were about you. Every single person said the laugh or do it again. Do it again became a very popular line there. Do it again, you said.
Do it again. That was great, man. You
What's
went down
the
like a
matter with you,
big
man?
girl.
I
It's
tell
so
you, man,
funny.
you actually would have benefited from getting that, from trying it out. I'm telling you.
I
It was
I actually ran it by the chief. I was so impressed with those gloves. He said we don't have the budget for that, and I said, what if I donated them? So he said he would bring it up at a board meeting. So that's how impressed I was with those things. I mean, if you had to like move people back from a scene, when they start pushing in, and you had even one of those gloves, you know what I mean? To just step back, step back. I mean, for a crowd control measure, that thing is badass.
yeah, I'm not really sure if you could use it for crowd control, but if you did have somebody that
To move someone, like step back, that kind of thing, without like harming them. You know what I mean?
well,
It's a
because
lesser
you saw
use
the
of
way
force.
you saw the way I went down. Now you're trying to
Yeah,
move
but he
people back.
grabbed you. He grabbed you and pulled you down. I'm just saying, if you just like
Zap
palm
them a
them,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah,
I
just
get
back
you.
up.
I wouldn't
Listen,
be
I've never
surprised.
been in that situation. The type of policing that we do is very community oriented. There's a lot of one-on-one. I never had to deal with crowds like you probably had to in New York City. I've nenever been to a riot control class. I wouldn't know how to do that. We have hats and bats in every station I've ever worked in, but we never picked them up or put them on once, ever.
Yeah, I was in the task force, so we got trained constantly in how to disperse crowds. But that being said, there was no phone cameras that back then. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got rid of crowds quick. You know what I'm saying? But it was with hats and bats, and just physically moving people around. I mean, I don't think it would be that pretty right now. Like if
I'm lucky. You know what? I would not be doing this as a side hustle anywhere else except in an area like where I'm working, because the people there are so supportive of the police that they're almost like they can't do enough for you. Like they go out of their way.
Well, I'm sure there was the same way in that town upstate where all of a sudden the protesters showed up and their SWAT team was moving through, and one guy pushed like an older gentleman. That guy fell down, hit his head on the concrete, got a concussion, and that became a really, really big deal. I think the whole SWAT team, if I recall, wound up, saying that.
Quit. Yeah, they round up resigning, and rightly so. They should. This is absurd. I believe it's going to correct itself. I think I see the makings of it already, and I believe these are a small, vocal minority that don't really reflect the will of the people. They really don't. The majority of the people that I meet are pro law enforcement. They're out there supporting people who stand in uniform and draw a line, and it's great. I mean, we still have people that just don't agree with us and flat out hate us, but not like the city, especially not like New York City.
Well, look at this, right?
It's absurd. It's friggin' absurd, dude.
That is the New York Tactical Officers Association patch. That's exactly what they do. Check this out. We're gonna watch a video right now. This is really pretty cool. If you're into this kind of stuff, this is what their training is all about. Where we go. Feels like it's moving a little slow.
I can't see it.
No?
No, I can't see it. Dude, I'm looking at a frozen screen right now.
Oh, maybe that was it. Ah, shit. I'm trying, man. Did everything freeze?
Hey guys, what's up? Biggest complaint we're hearing right now is about how ammunition is getting scarce. So super simple, low round count drill workout, if you will, for your handgun skills. Call this drill 4 mags.
Yeah, people are hoarding their ammo, man.
First magazine we're going to set up, and we're just going to work nice, clean, single from the holster. Working on clean presentation, super slow if we need to when we start out, and then ramping up the speed ultimately to our fight speed by the end of that magazine. Second magazine we're going to take and go to double, so that'll be from the holster paired
Shit.
on a single target.
I don't know what I did, man.
Third magazine we're going to go to 2 targets.
Can you see a screen right now?
I tell you, it's frozen. You there?
All right. Sorry, folks. Well, you saw the flashbang, right? Did you see that?
No, I'm not. I got a froze screen. It must have flashbanged my screen.
It was a video showing the type of training that they do to get into apartments or houses, like a meth. That place looked like it was a meth lab, and it's high end, high tech stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're going after really, really bad guys. That's why you call the SWAT team in. So when we go to these places and we see this kind of stuff, wouldn't you know it, there's protesters outside. And that's what I wanted to talk to Larry about. But so far, he hasn't been able to join us. But it's an interesting thing where people are calling and saying that, we don't want the police departments militarized.
I know they're saying that, and I know the media is driving that, and I know that's a talking point. I believe it's almost 90% made up. I think the average person could care less how much military equipment the police department has, because they're not concerned with contact with law enforcement. There's plenty of layers before you get to military equipment, and I think the first layer of patrol is just being yourself, being on point, and being available to the public. That's layer number 1. Beyond, the uniform, the vest, the cars, everything else. Yeah. Support the men and women on the front lines, and you'll be fine.
I mean, does anybody have more equipment than the NYPD? And then we went through that whole summer where we couldn't even use any of it. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff was completely forbidden. You weren't allowed to use any of it.
Somebody sent me a video. I don't know if it was old or if it was recent this summer, but it was the police doing what the police do. Somebody was trying to wreak havoc and run from the police, and they intercepted him, and this guy tackled him like a linebacker, and they took him down, and they cuffed him up, and they brought him in. I was like, okay, this is not all of what police work is, but when people get aggressive with the rank and file, they need to be able to make a presence and protect themselves.
Anytime they come up with stuff that is highly effective. Look at the dog, that the robot dog that they had. Did you see that robot dog?
No, but that sounds interesting.
There was a dog. It's a robot, but it's like in the shape of a dog. It goes inside the projects in New York City. I don't know what it did, but it came out with the perp. It was cuffed. It was like walking behind it peacefully. Like all of a sudden, that was no good. We got to get rid of the robot dog. He works too well. There was no resisting. I don't know what the robot dog did up there, but one on the central.
Dude, could you imagine that being your guard dog? That's coming, I guess. Well, robot guard dogs.
Well, you got to see. Well, I'm being I'm using a poetic license when I say it's basically walking on all fours. It's a robot.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the military application. The thing looks like a cow. It has a very awkward walk, but it's effective. I mean, if you got to carry, or if you don't have to carry, I should say, a couple of 100 pounds of equipment, and your robot dog can do it. I'm all about it.
You know what we're going to do right now? We're going to give it a shot. We're at the half-hour mark right now. We're going to give this is our time to take a little commercial break, and we're going to go to our sponsors. Folks, if you're living in the city or somewhere where you feel like you need to get out, maybe the crime is getting to you, maybe the cold weather's getting to you, why don't you consider, because I am, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And if you are, take a look at the screen right now, BRG Realty. Look for, ask for Carol Waters. She's a realtor. That's her phone number up there. And she's a professional. She's been doing this for years. And South Carolina, Myrtle Beach is a beautiful area to move down. She works together with a husband who's also a retired member of the service and then went on to be a fireman. And put that in your screenshot that Carol Waters sells MB at gmail.com. That's the beachrealtygroup.com. Carol Waters. She's there for all your needs. Trust me, you couldn't be in better hands if you're planning a move to get out of up here, the East Coast up here. Joe Murray, a frequent guest on our show. He's a retired NYPD cop. He became a lawyer while he was on the job, and now he has a law firm, a very, very successful law firm. If you're ever in trouble, you want Joe Murray to be in your corner. He's a gentleman. He's got a heart of gold, and he invests himself 100% completely to everybody that he's working for. Trust me when I tell you that. God forbid if I ever got in trouble, I would Joe be the first guy that I would call. So go to jmurray-law.com, and I call them every day just to make sure they're working. If I plan to having maybe a little bit too much to drink, getting stupid, so I call them early. He said, "Listen, be on the lookout. I'm going to be out tonight." And this is a new sponsor of ours. Police Coffee is an officer-owned business dedicated to crafting the finest coffees and blends. They are made to provide with the fastest, with the freshest coffee available. Each batch is roasted fresh by people who know what it means to stay vigilant. And our specialty coffees do not waste one drop when flavor is concerned. Our coffee is some of the best you'll find, but it also helps serve an important cause, giving back to the community. 50% of our profits go towards helping family members of police officers who fell in the line of duty. To order coffee and related products from policecoffee.com, go to the website. There are over 7 types of coffee to choose from. 50% of the profits go to officers' family in need. For a 10% discount, be sure to put in OTC10, OTC10. Use that as the coupon code and get 10% off. And that is a new sponsor. Thank you so much, Police Coffee. And last but not least, a frequent guest on the show, a superstar from the NYPD, retired first grade NYPD detective Michael O'Keefe, had some career, and then he's turned his career into being an author of great books, and he's also a poet. He's got 3 books that are available on Amazon.com right now: Shot to Pieces, A Reckoning in Brooklyn, and Burnt to a Crisp. They all follow and chronicleize the police career of Patty Dorr, a great police NYPD detective, may or may not be Mike O'Keefe's alter personality. But they're great books. Go to michaelO'Keefeauthor.com. They're also on Amazon.com. He also has many book signings going on. So if you go to michaelO'Keefeauthor.com, you can find out when the next book signing is and come on and buy a book and get it autographed by the great Michael O'Keefe himself. All right, now back to the show.
Back to the show.
And then
You gotta get 3/4 pay police coffee.
Yeah.
It's half off.
So I wanted to also mention this. When we were coming back, during the whole time we were in Nashville, I found out that Bob Nelson, also another legendary comedian, he was going through he's going through cancer right now, and he's battling it. I'm not going to go to another video right now, but it's worth it if you can to go check out Bob. If you don't remember if you're too young to recall Bob Nelson, one of the best comedians that ever walked the face of the earth. He's got cancer now, and they have a GoFundMe for him. And that is it right there. Comedian Bob Nelson. And if you want to help out, visit that. You were a part of that night. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Bob was he's a personal, hero of mine. I saw him back in, it had to be those, those early days, 79, 80. And he was working with Eddie Murphy and Rob Bartlett. And they did they performed on stage together. They called themselves the Identical Triplets. And they were great. I would drive out to the East Side Comedy Club on Wednesday night just to watch them do their thing. And this was before Murphy became famous, but everybody knew he already had star quality. It just seemed like it was a given. In fact, one night I was watching him at the East Side, and he was on stage, and this guy was heckling him. And Eddie was 18, maybe 17, 18. And he turns to this guy and he goes, man, what do you do? And the guy says, whatever, I'm a plumber. And he goes, woof, what's your name? And the guy tells him his name. He goes, do you know who I am? He goes, I'm Eddie Murphy. He said, when I die, the whole world is gonna know Eddie Murphy's dead. When you die, ain't nobody gonna give a shit. And I remember standing in the back of the club, and I thought to myself, what an arrogant, little prick. But 2 years later, oh my God. I mean, I had the same experience watching him as I did watching Jim Carrey. After In Living Color, Jim Carrey went back to Canada for a while. And I think he had some family members that were not well. And he had just come back to LA, and he was starting to make his rounds in the club. And I was working with him at the Santa Monica Improv. And he had a spot. He was going on after me. So I did my thing, and I got off stage, and I watched him go on. And it was literally as if an alien had landed from another planet that did things with his body and his face and just everything he did on stage was just at such another level. Him and Murphy had that star quality, as did, in my opinion, Bob Nelson. They all had that that wow factor, that it factor. Like, for instance, one night I was at the Governor's in probably early 80s, maybe 82, 83. And Bob Nelson had this bit worked out where he'd go up on stage with this huge boombox. Remember when the boomboxes were big back in the 80s?
Yeah.
And it had that really heavy tuning dial that you would spin it, and it would crank the dial tuner all the way across the channels. So he did this bit where he had a cassette tape that he loaded into a boombox, and he would play something like music, or he would play a commercial, or he would play something. And then he would do a bit. He would pull stuff out of his suitcase and do a bit on it. And then he would run over and he would make like he was turning the channel, and it would go to another station. And then he would pull stuff out of his suitcase and he would do another bit. And this went on for about 30 minutes. And I remember thinking to myself, how was he able to make a cassette tape that he, for 30 minutes long? Because this was like a huge chunk of material. And then I realized it wasn't a cassette tape. He was actually improvising brilliant stand-up off of whatever the radio tuned itself to. I walked out of the place, Mark. I was, when you've heard the term shock to consciousness, like when you get some really bad or good news about something, like you go blank. That's what happened when I walked out after seeing Nelson, after seeing Murphy, after seeing Jim Carrey. I walked out and I realized I had been in the company of something, in the presence of some greatness. And it was really amazing. It was really amazing.
I took the time to look at, to watch some of Bob Nelson's classic bits. You could go to YouTube and watch them. The football, the boxer. They're so crisp, so clean. There's not, what, from when you do a TV taping, you hope in your mind that it comes out 75% the way you normally do it in a club. And if it does, you know it's going to kill. You know what I'm saying? That's because that's a good ratio to get. There's a lot of intangibles. But when you watch that Rodney Dangerfield special, when Bob does the football player, it's so crisp. It's so clean.
Pops
There's not
out
a
at you, right.
mistake. There's not a mumble.
Not a wrinkle,
It's
not a ripple,
freaking
nothing.
perfect. All I kept thinking about is like, I wonder how many times he must have practiced that, man.
And
It
that
was
was the thing,
spot on, perfection.
Bob could do his rehearsed things. That was what's amazing about him. He could do his quote unquote act, or he could absolutely just shoot from the hip for an hour. He was going through the airport in Montreal. Was it Montreal? I think it was Montreal. I don't know if regardless, he was going through customs in Montreal, and Canadian customs is tough. If anybody, especially New York State, you drive from New York State into Canada, it's no joke. Don't mess with those guys and gals. They don't play around. But they opened up his suitcase. This was before X-rays, and they see all these props. You know, one of them might have even been a toy gun. And he said, "Oh, I'm a comedian. These are my props. They're jokes." And they said, "Well, show us." And they thrust something into his hands. They said, "What do you do with this?" And he would do the bit, and they all cracked up. And then they picked up another one. They go, "What do you do with this?" And he did another bit, and they all cracked up. He stayed at customs for 45 minutes until he was out of props.
And then they locked him up.
He told me, he actually said that when they stopped, you know, like when you stop feeding a rabid dog,
Yeah.
He said when he initially went, "Hey, I gotta really go," they went to, "No, you finish." Like they got really like was forceful with him. No, you're gonna do your act. And he did his act. He said, "I did 45 minutes at the border and he didn't get paid."
You know, it's funny. Like we talk about shooting from the hip. So for the audience, when we do these shows that are they're mostly men.
Yes,
we're doing comedy shows during these conferences. So that if
Handful of
so
women.
inclined, they want to hang out, you know, and catch a show as part of their training course. That's what we do. So a lot of times, we went upstate. It was 800, right? Was that a crowd of 800 we did?
Yeah, that was a big one. That was 800.
And I'm going to tell you, the audience right now, like, I don't even get nervous. You know why? Because I don't have to crack open that show. And I know John's going to do it. And I know by the time I get on stage, it's going to be a comedy show. And I don't know anybody else who could do that, to just get up there. And it's like I said, this is one of the things, it's like the toughest thing that you could ever ask a comedian to do. And you go up there and talk about shooting from the hip. When we were in Nashville, the guy that was the engineer, there's a poor guy. He's the engineer. He's in charge of the microphone, but he's sitting like behind the curtain off the stage. And somehow John saw him. I never noticed the guy. But then you pull the curtain back and he started doing a confession to him. And that became part of your ongoing, but you know, like, and that poor guy was sitting there and he was just like looking at you. He was like all scared, like he didn't want to be part of the show. But what you do is so amazing up there. I tell you, I never get nervous having to go up after you.
Oh, good.
No, I mean, I'm not. What I'm saying is not that I can follow you, but I'm saying
no. You know, it's going to be a show,
hosting,
right? They're going to be corralled in and focused. You know, thank you. That was, you know, that was a skill set that served me well, and also severed my head, so to speak, because I worked the crowd. Because I worked so, you know, I tended to be extemporaneous. I was dubbed as not having an act. In fact, one night during those Rodney Dangerfield specials back in the day, Sam Kinison had one, Dice had one, Bob Nelson had one. I mean, they were just like star makers. And I was wrangling to get on one. And Rodney comes up to me one night at the Improv in LA. And my then manager was a guy by the name of Rick Messina. And he goes, "Hey, John, Rick keeps pushing you on me to use you on my next show, you know, and I'd love to use you, kid. I'd love to use you, but you don't have an act." I just said, "I like, don't have an act." I said, "When have you seen me?" He goes, "I come in and watch you all the time." I said, "Well, I didn't see you." He goes, "No, I like to sneak in to see what you're doing, you know." He goes, "You talk to the crowd. I can't use that." I said, "Well, you know, set up a time you want to come in and I'll do a set for you." Yeah, okay. And it never worked out. He just said no. And that was his thing. He liked to sneak in like a ninja, see what guys were doing, and then and walk out.
That's an interesting observation. Well, what a story, because when you're on stage, you want to do the give the audience a show. You want to be the best comedian that they're going to see that night. It's very like Tracy Morgan told me once. He goes, "This is an individual sport. I always want to do better than you," and I never forgot that. And that's so sometimes you may have some material in your back pocket you want to work out on, but it's a good crowd, and then you'll go up there and just do the same. I always try to stay away from that, but also if you do a lot of crowd work, if you're that type of personality where you're so comfortable just talking to people, it could actually be a hindrance.
It's a great thing to learn to do. There's a lot of guys that they don't know how to. They know they're set, they're comfortable in their zone, and that's fine. It takes a long time to get there. However, if you have more tools on your belt when you hit the stage, you can do 30 minutes clean material. You can do crowd work with a rowdy audience. You can do things that are a little bit more, quote unquote, intellectual. You have more arrows in your quiver. So I know a lot of guys that shy away from. They don't want to do any talk to the crowd at all. In fact, they get mad at the crowd and they tell them to be quiet. And I think that's a huge mistake. It's one thing if you don't like doing it, but I've seen really good comedians, censure an audience or audience members for speaking back or speaking up or whatever. And to me, that's just fertilizer.
Okay, I want to switch gears here a little bit. In case you don't know, on July 6th, this officer right here, this phenomenal officer, his name is Ronald Kennedy. He came upon a scene in Harlem. He was on 125th Street, Malcolm X Boulevard. There was a victim stabbed in the chest. Somehow this guy knew that, I think the victim actually told him, punctured my lung. He called out to somebody to go get him a bag of potato chips. And then he got some duct tape. He emptied out that bag of potato chips, put it across this guy's chest with the duct tape,
wow.
and basically kept him alive. That's what the physician said, that he kept him alive because air never got into his lungs and his lung never collapsed. So a big shout out to Ronald Kennedy, and just the wherewithal to be so present. And
did he? Do you know if he had medical training for that? That's like genius.
Well, yeah, I looked up a bunch of articles. I even Googled his name. I couldn't get to the bottom of it, but it sounds to me like he might have been like a medic or something like that. A lot of people who get on the job come from prior EMS. Some people have military experience. I would imagine that he has something like that. But that is just an amazing thing to be in in such a stressful situation and be in command and control. And
it's a shame that we have to break that news about that officer. That I'm hearing it from the first time from you.
Well,
I gotta watch Capitol Police crying that they needed a hug on January 6th. Oh my God, it was nauseating.
Yeah, that's an odd thing that's going on over there. I haven't really paid much attention to it, but I saw the picture of the officers crying on the stand, and you got to ask yourself, what are we doing right now? What are they getting out of this? You know what I'm saying? Well, because I don't care what you do to me. I'm not going to cry. That's not going down in my unless I'm getting paid to act in a TV show. I'm not crying.
The only thing I could think is, since they were all on board with crying, that their families may have been threatened. That's the only thing that makes sense, because none of them were traumatized from January 6th to that extent, and none of them seemed to be overtly faking it. So I think they might have been told, you were going to give you motivation to cry and break down on the stand, because if you don't, we're going to come after your family. That's what I think. Or we're going to come after your jobs. One or the other.
Yeah, it seems like with the whole summer of small businesses getting burned down, and police precincts and headquarters and state courts getting burned down, attempted to be burned down, the looting, all that, it's all forgotten. Those were peaceful protests, by the way. And yet there's millions of hours of footage, including reporters standing in front of burning buildings telling you this is a peaceful protest. So The whole thing is nonsense. But
The population at large is not stupid, but I do believe they are overprogrammed, and they watch way too much network news. And I wouldn't want. I don't watch it at all anymore, to be quite honest with you. I find about things that happen through conversation like we used to. But it's shocking to me how deep the programming does go, because it's obvious what is being, or is what they're trying to do with the media, and people who refuse to see it. I like the ones that see it and then and acknowledge it, but then go, but it doesn't matter because we got what we want, whatever that is. Like, we don't care that the world is going, or our country's going to hell in a handbasket, because it's not affecting me yet. In fact, I feel empowered.
well,
That's going to change. Watch that change real soon.
look at how ridiculous things have gotten. Okay, Washington police reform law forces deputies to call off a canine search for a murder suspect. Check this out. Police investigating a murder case in Washington State say they decided not to use canine dog in their search for the suspect after taking the new reform laws into consideration. So basically, rather than acting on impulse and chasing after the bad guy, they got to figure out whether they have probable cause or not. And then when it was determined that they're not sure if they have probable cause, then they don't set the canine out. So when you're saying probable cause, that means I didn't have a witness tell me right now, even though I have I don't even want to get into that. All I'm saying is just that the whole thing is completely absurd. That law right now in Washington State, you can't act as an officer on impulse. Like, if you see somebody running down the street carrying a purse, and then you hear a woman several feet behind them screaming, "That's my purse," you still can't act, because I didn't have a conversation with her. You know what I'm saying?
People are gonna move, just like they're doing in New York. People are gonna go move to where it's safe, and to where there are like-minded people. And there's nobody that I know or run into that wants to live around crime, that wants to live around unruly, unkind, uninformed neighbors, or people. They're just gonna move to places where that shit doesn't happen.
Well, that
And
brings
there
us
are
back
plenty of places. There's
that
plenty of
brings us back
places.
to Carol Waters Realty. If you're thinking about moving,
There you go. What a segue.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Let's go check out the comments over here. So many people checked in tonight. People are moving down here in droves, says Factual Breakdown. New Zealand Mysteries. Hi, everyone. And Thin Blue Line.
New Zealand. Crikey, mate.
Let's go back up to the top here. Cat lovers, Cougar Mellencamp. I don't know what that means. I'm trying to find some website. Anyway, we got a lot of comments tonight. Bill is great at this stuff. I'm figuring it out. I could get good at it at some point, but
I'm smart, Pop. I'm smart.
We're at 7:53. So we talked about, and then there was this other guy. We want to end on something funny. There's this guy. He's a burglar, and what does he do? It's a carjacking, burglary, and then he leaves the phone in the guy's house. So, shout out to stupid criminals all over the world.
He leaves his personal phone at the scene.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Along with his gun.
A lot of times people don't believe that. So when's your next tour of duty?
I'm working tomorrow. We got a big festival coming into town, so it's all hands on deck. The whole department's going to be there, or most of them.
You gonna get a shirt?
Of course, everybody gets a shirt. Everybody gets a shirt. And, they got cool stuff. They got fun stuff. They got ATVs. They got motorcycles. They got a Humvee. They got some fun stuff.
The reason why I mentioned that is because when I was a rookie, we went to I think it was probably in the Rockaways. They had some street festival, and the two guys that I was with, old timers, they go, come on, do you want a shirt? They go to me, you want a shirt, kid? So I said, yeah, all right. So we go up to, they had a booth with shirts. So he goes, yeah, give me one of those. Give me one of those. What size are you, kids? At the time, it was like a double X. It was all buffed out. You got a double X? Kid, you're going to have to settle for an extra large. So and then he goes, all right, thanks a lot. And we walked back to the car. We threw the shirts in the car, and that was it. We went back and hung out at the freaking festival. That was it.
Dude, when I was a kid, we went to my mother took us to Coney Island, and we were at that part where the carny aisle where you throw the bottles, you throw the balls at the bottles and that kind of, those carny games. So we were there, and you just shoot the clown in the mouth with the water and knock the star, the BB with a BB gun, knock the star out of the center of the hole. Remember that? So I was probably 8, and we ran into a friend of my father's. I'd never seen him before, but my mother knew who he was. He was in uniform, and he's like, "Joan, how are you? Oh, these are the kids." And he was bigger than life. He was like that, full of that cop energy. I don't have to tell you, Brooklyn cop. And he goes to the guy. Turns to the carny guy, and he goes, "Give me a couple of those dolls on the top row. Give me 2 of these in the middle. Give me that over here." And the guy just starts pulling his stuff off the shelves and handed it to us. Well, this was Christmas in July for an 8-year-old, but my mother was mortified. She was absolutely, "Oh no, that's quite enough. That's on." And I'm like, "No, it's not. There's more." And he's like, "I don't worry about it. This guys get these things for a nickel," and he's just classic old school Brooklyn cop, man. I mean, I just, those are the guys, because there weren't women on the force back then that the public saw anyway. Those were the guys that I grew up with. They knew the neighborhood, they knew the city, they had that heart of gold. And I truly believe that's out there in the majority of people that do this for a living.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Can't wait for it to come back around.
Where are you right now? You still got freaking sunlight.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's dark outside my house.
Check this out.
It's dark outside my house. What kind of neighborhood?
This is God's country, son. Look at this. Look at that, huh?
Hey, show everybody the roof, the ceiling up there, because you painted it blue the other day. And what was the motive behind that? Tell me because if you don't know John has a lot of theories. We didn't even cover any of them tonight.
It's not a theory.
Tell me the theory about the baby blue ceilings.
It's called porch ceiling blue, and it actually keeps birds from nesting up in there, and it keeps spiders from building webs because they interpret that blue as the sky. Plus, it looks cool.
Oh, wow. You see, it does make sense.
Yeah, porch ceiling blue. There's like 3 different shades, but the one thing I'll tell you, these old farmers were smart. Like a night like this where the sun is going down and it's constantly moving, it creates the illusion of the porch blending into the sky. It's the coolest experience. No, it really feels great.
No, you did a nice job. You know what I was thinking about? Flying Spirit on the way back. That Spirit Airlines is something else, huh?
Don't ever fly Spirit Airlines, folks.
Hey, let me tell you something. Spirit Airlines is the dollar cab of the skies.
Dollar store.
I'm telling you, man. It's like
what a hustle. What a hustle.
What happened with the bags? At some point, John was screaming out. What was the?
I wasn't screaming, but she
price
was
gouging. You're price gouging.
She was price gouging. We showed up with 3 carry-ons. They made it on the flight down. They made it on every flight I've ever been on. You
had the smallest carry-on, that way.
Yeah, I did this for 6. Well, I did this for a living for 30 years, but I know how to pack. And
that was the Carnival Act. That thing, by the way, that freaking thing that you got to put your suitcase in. It closed. No matter what size you were putting in there, somebody was stepping on the thing on the floor, and it was closing. Because I put my wallet in there, it didn't fit.
When she tried to justify $65 for that friggin' carry-on bag, like, you should have read the fine. She actually said to me, "You should have read the fine print in the contract." I said the tickets were purchased for us by a vendor. We didn't even look at the contract. Well, you should, like, she had. Where are you going with that? And even if I did buy it online, that's your answer after just gouging me for $65.
And that poor family that was in front of us that paid like $300 for suitcases to go in the belly, and then had to come up with an extra $65 anyway. Listen, if you want to fly Spirit Airlines, God bless you, but don't bring any luggage.
Don't fly.
Go as you came, and just so you know, they should just put prison bars at the gate, because those flight attendants are like correction officers, and the way you wore your mask. I should have taken a picture of the way you wore your mask. It's a whole thing. John's a special person, man. I love hanging out with him. You were a great guest tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope there was a lot of we hit a lot of bumps in the road trying to get the video up and stuff like that. Still trying to work it out. Bill's the expert at that. He's sorely missed, but I had a great time with you.
I had a
think
great
we
time with
covered a
you.
lot. And before we go, one more time for just so you people know, Bob Nelson was a great comedian.
It still is.
He's still alive, but he's got cancer. He's got to fight this thing, and he's got a GoFundMe. And John was lucky enough to be friends with him,
colleagues,
and you also performed on the show that they just did for him at Governor's Comedy Club a couple of weeks ago.
Sold out. Yep.
How was that?
Sold out. It was great. Bob came out and spoke after everybody performed. And he opened with a joke that I gave him. I did it inadvertently. I saw him backstage. I said, "Bob, you look great. Are you sure you're sick?" And so he opened with that, and it got a big laugh, and he credited me. So that I took 40 years for him to credit me with a joke, but it was worth waiting.
All right, that's awesome. For everybody who tuned in tonight, thank you so much. One more time for John Mulrooney.
Thank you. You. Listen to me.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back Thursday night with a brand new episode, Police Off the Cuff After Hours. My name is Mark Demayo. Love you guys. Peace.
Peace.